Welcome back. Welcome back to another fresh episode of the Daddio Show. Let's go. Welcome, guys. This is Harding Ison-Bowman, and this is brought to you. This free weekly session is brought to you by partnerwithgreatness.com. We're a youth development platform, and we would like to help you do a few things. Number one, heal up from damages you may have been dealt, because life gets rough and things will knock you down, but you just can't stay stuck for too long. That's our hope for you. Heal up from those damages and then take control of what you can control and move on from that to live the most powerful and blessed life possible for you. All right, so J Cozart, director of the Fatherhood Initiative in the Lexington Leadership Foundation. We're wrapping up part 3 of 3 of his awesome interview, and I'm starting to consider this interview kind of a toolkit for mentors and mentees, the folks who want to get involved in a mentoring program and start to do that life-giving work of mentoring young people. Where do they go? How do they get started? And what signs can they look for in that mentoring relationship that things are healthy, things are on track, and that everything's going to work out the way it's supposed to? So David goes in deep today on some indicators that both the mentee and mentor are growing in that relationship, some things you can look for there. And we talk about how friction can really be a healthy thing in a mentoring relationship, and you don't want to be just too smooth and be buddy-buddy all the time. We talk about how there's safety and foundation in mentoring through a solid program, going through the program that already exists and using that protection there. Excuse me. And then we wrap up with a little bit of embarrassing your kids stories and talk about how men bond, the types of activities that help us men folks bond together and how important that is. So enjoy the episode. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. What does it look like? What does the healthy version of this look like? How do you know when the mentee is growing the mentor, or at least the mentor is growing in that mentoring relationship, but it's healthy? You mentioned the pitfall there. Don't be careful that you're not getting more out of it than the mentee is. But how do you know when you're seeing a situation where it's like, this has some healing energy for the mentor and they're getting better from this, but it's not weird or unhealthy? How do you recognize that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I don't know that I have the magical equation, but I do know one indicator is if a mentor feels like they have to always be imparting, always be speaking into, always be just very aggressive, then you probably know they feel like, okay, everything that I got everything that this young person needs to perfect them and make them better.
Oh,
Instead of just take it easy, Francis, just be there, just the ministry of presence. I've seen mentors that were, hey, look what we did and look what I did and this is what I did, and it's always being posted, or with my mentor and mentee today, and look what I got my mentee. And you shouldn't have to let the left hand know what the right hand's doing all the time. That might
yeah.
be a sign that it's about you puffing yourself up,
Yeah.
trying to put salve on your wounds,
Right.
uh, if the mentor is trying to be too much of a peer, you know what I'm saying? I think a good mentor-mentee relationship and a good fatherhood, motherhood, child relationship, if my kids don't get perturbed or mad or even pissed off at me once a week, I don't feel like I'm doing my job, so I'm just gonna go. You know what I'm saying? I'm not your partner. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I love you more than you'll ever know, but I'm not your homegirl and I'm not your homeboy, and I'm gonna ask you to do some things that you don't want to do,
Yep.
and I'm gonna redirect you in some ways you don't want to be redirected.
Mm-hmm.
And a good, strong mentor-mentee relationship is like that. So if I'm a mentor, there's probably going to be one week that you're going to call me and be like, Mr. Cozart, I really don't want to see you this week. Cool.
Yep. Hashtag boundary issues, bruh. You gotta know what side you're on.
Yeah, you do.
what I want to make a comment about the thing you just mentioned about hey, look at me, I got my mentee, and always trying to make people aware of it. You I think you indicated from what I got there that it would come from a spirit of cockiness or like braggadocious, like look at me, I want to appear virtuous, and appear so great. I'm serving this young person. I also think to add to that it could come from a fear-based place of like imposter syndrome or something, or like like I don't know if I'm doing this right, am I doing this right, like let me like let everybody see, just in case anybody thinks I'm getting weird over here, or like just in case I'm not doing this right, somebody can see it and help me do it better. um, so I think like that could also come from a lack of confidence, a lack of feeling grounded and solid on your feet in that role. Maybe newer to it. Um, but I agree with you that it could come from that kind of braggadocious, but it could also come from a spirit of fear too.
Perhaps, yeah. Perhaps I would leave, that open.
Yeah, because it could be that thing of like it could also connect to that thing of like where you see that lack of a boundary, and it's like, are you trying to be this kid's buddy and friend? You don't need to do that. That's counterproductive to the purpose.
That's why it goes back to what you said and what you affirmed, and we both said is that you need that. Oftentimes, you need that third party formalized, not clinical, but learned program coordinator or component, so you can ask those sort of questions. They can liaise some of those feelings and help
Yeah,
you work through some of that. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? So if it were for protective issues, if you had feelings that you need to put some sort of protective issue out there, you need to be able to talk to that mentoring program. Our
yeah.
mentor coordinator, Maggie Middleton, who is a rock star at it, has seen and heard it all in those regards. And if a mentor calls her or one of our caseworkers say, I feel a little uncomfortable, they know how to address that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm
You would
sure.
know how to
I'm sure
address
you and
that.
her. I'm sure you and her both have a pretty dialed in, view of what that regular rhythm should look like. That regular kind of maintenance of that relationship should look like. So that's good. And I'm sure people do feel comfortable approaching you. I think your vibe is professional, but there's that compassion underneath there, and there's that approachability. There's not that towering over, I, David Cozart, am the ultimate patriarch of the Fatherhood Initiative. I think you do a
No,
good
bro.
job.
Stick around on this call for 5 or 10 more minutes. You'll know I'm not hiding my. I will say something stupid in 3, 2, 1. Something stupid.
Yep. Oh man, um, I think we've covered some great ground here. The last thing I wanted to touch on here is with this weird pandemic time. Uh, I would love to have been across the table from you, smelling that beautiful Thai food you were eating earlier, but we were meeting on the Zoom chat here. And everybody's meeting on the Zoom chat. We're all doing digital transformed versions of what we used to do. What's up with the mentoring space when it comes to this pandemic style of getting business done and relationships? And what have you seen any cool ideas or best practices start to emerge that you recommend others in a mentoring format look into?
Great question. Yeah. So, a reference in mentoring of youth in earnest, which I'm on the periphery of. By the way, I admire all. We've got strong youth ministry here, but I'm heard saying regularly, I really don't like young people. I love them, but I really don't like them. And so I'm not going to be a school teacher. My wife is. I'm like the mean uncle, dog. So they call me or now the mean granddaddy with my hair grown out and gray. They call me when they need a safe, intimidating force just to walk through. So, but they do a great job here. The mentoring they're doing, audio and video calls with mentor mentees. So they're encouraging mentors to continue our program. They are required to, or get to, I should say, meet with the kids weekly. And so they're telling them continue to check on your kids weekly via FaceTime or Zoom or audio calls, or emails. Our program is also putting together care packages, activity packages for the young people, age appropriate activity packages that can be dropped off, left on the porch, be sent to them so they can be doing things together. It's like, and so, you can have mentors and mentees reading the same book and calling and talking about it.
Nice.
That's actually something we do in the Inside Out Dads in our fatherhood program. Y'all play a game of checkers over through mail, play a game of chess through the mail, read a book together. One of the things this program here is also still delivering meals to some of the mentors and mentees homes. And so there are things going on and continuing to go on. And obviously a lot of it is through technology while we're maintaining our safe physical distancing. I don't think we have to social distance because we're being quite social right now. We're just doing it from a different physical space. So, and so you're quite the social guy. So, but physically we're not together. So they're continuing to socialize with them. It's just kind of virtually.
Yeah, I understand. So when it comes to you personally as a dad, do you have any famous things that you like to do to embarrass the crap out of your kids, or famous, dad things that you cook that you're famous for? Tell us a couple of little snippets to just get to know you a little bit better as we wrap up here.
Oh man, I embarrass my kids just by my very essence or presence. But if we're around water, I always embarrass them. If we're around water, I embarrass them. It's actually my daughter calling now on FaceTime. I can embarrass her now. See?
Hey, you're on the podcast.
You're on a podcast with me. That's what I do to embarrass my kids. Perfect time. Let me call you back, baby. All right. So I do stuff like that. I jumped in a pool one time. I can't swim. I went down a water slide. And I had to call the lifeguard to come get me. But I was cool, man. I was cool on the other side of the pillow. I was going down. I'd come up. Lifeguard's like, you need me? I'm like, nah, I'm cool. I did that like 3 times. Then I'm like, yeah, I need you, dog. Yeah, I need you. I'm about to die out here. There's a little girl's like, mommy, some big man had to be pulled out of the pool. My son or my daughter is at the top of the water slide, and dude's like, do you know him? And they're like, yeah, that's my dad. Yeah, I embarrass them all the time, man, but I love them. I think they know I do. Dad cook. I like barbecuing, actually. Have a little barbecue thing that we do. It's called Smoke Daddies. It actually emanated out of the fatherhood work. Hence the name Smoke Daddies. Yeah, I believe. Yeah, that's a whole other story, but I believe there's a lot that happens around that grill for men and for families,
Oh yeah.
It's like the table, you know what I'm saying? But that's I remember my uncle and my daddy being out there, man, grilling all day, barbecuing for family functions, 4th of July, Memorial Day. I learned a lot standing around that grill, talking with them. I learned the skill of it for one, but learned a lot about life, probably heard a lot of lies from them too. I knocked the dirt off a lot of hot dogs and smoked sausages that fell on the ground and ate them. But so yeah, I like the barbecue, man.
Here's another little creature I'm going to introduce
What's
you to.
up?
This is Lexi. Here you go. They're getting all squirrely over here. Dude, another place that magical things happen is around a truck bed. When I've been teaching my landscaping classes for the at-risk youth, if things were getting a little too tense with the dynamic among that group of teens at that time, that semester, or whatever was going on, that dynamic was getting a little bit too, it was almost hostile. We needed the group to bond a little bit better, but they need their outside time, right? I'm not going to try to like coop them up and do like a circle up inside because they're expecting it to be outside. It's landscaping class. So we'll just, kind of find some silly excuse, to go get some tool out of my truck bed, and we'll find ourselves, putting a leg up on the tire and on the tailgate and having a little, group conversation around the men around the truck. We will just gravitate to that truck bed and find ourselves standing around there for no particular reason other than it's a truck and it's cool and we're talking, and it kind of, loosens up the tongue, and kind of tensions start to fall, and everybody can bond, to some extent over that without needing to know what to do. You don't have to know what to do. It's very low barrier to entry. I feel like a lot of young guys that are awkward, and don't know how to act around other dudes their age. They need something like that. They need kind of just a slow ball down the middle of where they can win and be part of the group and not have to know how to operate and what the rules of the game are, what's expected. It's just very, very low key. So I always felt like those did us a lot of good, when we needed those times.
Yeah, I don't disagree. So it sounds like what we're saying is all a man needs is a large inanimate object, and we learn
preferably with meat or fire. Doesn't hurt.
Meat, fire, or tools. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Well, man, you are the bomb. I'm so glad I got connected with you, David. This has been a pleasure, and the thing I'm most excited about is not how good I feel coming out of this conversation, even though I feel terrific, but just, praying that the lives of even just one or two might be struck by what we've said here, and especially, what you brought to the table. So can't thank you enough for your time, man.
And I appreciate you and what you're doing, and anything we can do to lock arms and do this work. I was pretty anecdotal today. There are clinical sides to this as well, but I like these more informal conversations around it because I think it resonates better with people. So I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you, man.
Yes, sir. I'd love to continue to grow together and collaborate on some things in the future and see what we can accomplish together.
Let's do it.
All right, man. Well, everybody, David Cozart, the one and only, the swimming pool slide guy. Appreciate you, brother. Let me know if I can do anything for you.
All right, brother. Take care. Bless y'all.
Bye-bye. Let's go. Wasn't that awesome? All right, so David Cozart. What was your all's favorite part of the episode? And it can be part 1, 2, or 3 of this interview. What was your favorite part? Did you enjoy some particular segment better than others? We covered a lot of ground here. We talked about the mentoring space in depth and the psychology of dads and why sometimes that a dead broke dad is considered a deadbeat dad, and there's some reasons in his psychology of why he doesn't want to come around with nothing in his hand that he can offer, and feelings of shame and so forth. That was powerful for me. That was probably my number one takeaway from episode 25 there, the previous episode. But in this episode as well, continued to really talk about I think it's become clear to us now on this podcast that if you want to start mentoring, there's the way to do that is through official channels, through a formalized process with an existing program where you've got folks in your corner who can help you make the best decisions, help keep you and the mentee protected, and that it's done under the umbrella of an organization that has supports in place and has protections in place. I think I don't know why you would want to go about it any other way now that I've heard especially what David has to say. So if you have questions about that, or you want to share some other observations or experiences with mentoring, maybe you're doing things a little bit differently in your community than what we've talked about here on the podcast, go ahead and drop us a comment. Let's get this conversation moving forward about that. And I'd love to let you be the star of a conversation and build on the ideas and experiences. We learn a lot from each other, amen? So, all right, until next time, guys. This has been amazing. I'm super glad that David and I found each other, and super glad that he donated some of his time to be on here. All right, guys, young champions, until next time, I believe in you.